Alright then, hello everyone and welcome to round 15 of the NEF1 Championship. We are here for the final few races of the NEF1 season around Marina Bay in Singapore, a track where even the most mediocre drivers can have a lasting impact on the sport. Nelson Piquet Jr. showed us that back in 2009 when his Crashgate scandal basically did nothing else than get his boss fired a year later. We also saw that last season out when Matty MC16 took what is his last NEF1 win to date. Could this be his last one ever? We'll wait and see. Sorry, Matty. I'm just taking a piss. I was also going to take the piss out of Squidge 2017, but last minute he's actually decided to show up, so I'm not going to do so in hope that we get an enthralling championship fight. Oh, Matty Adam also corrected me there, saying he won Brazil after it. Obviously, not a very not a quite a forgettable race apparently was Brazil last season. I am very sorry about that, Matty. It actually turned out worse than I was imagining, because that was not in the script. I said I was going to take the piss out of Squish 2017 as well, but as he's now actually decided to show up and hopefully going to make this championship battle a little interesting throughout these next 4 races, I will decide not to do so. Hope everyone is having a good time and is prepared for this. We have the last mandatory 2-stop race this season now, and that is a format that should play right into the hand of a BT 336174. He is better at entering the pit lane than any other driver in any F1 this season, as he's done it the clear most times. He'll likely be having made his 2 mandatory pit stops at the end of lap 2. But we'll wait and see how it goes. He's looking for his first really solid result of the season. Noah 48 back in the Ferrari for this week, and also is Nasi 31 for what is likely to be his last race for Ferrari this season before he has to go off towards the end of the season. He will not be replaced, however. That seat will not be vacated, but it will run dormant towards the last 3 races. He will still be in the final classification come the season's end, but unfortunately end of the season here for Nasi. Undercheck currently first across the line to set his first flying lap, as Noah has retired from this session very early on. I believe that was in the pit lane. And now Matt is getting incredibly upset that I didn't bash Nathan as well, or sorry, Squidge. I'm sorry, Matty. I'll make sure to do so if he loses this championship fight. I'll make sure to give him a bit of an insult. Here comes his teammate and round sector 2. I've kind of veered off focus a little bit for these first 3 minutes worth of qualifying, as we have a Sauber disappearing across the middle of your screen there. And Undercheck is taking the bridge complex now. I'm probably going to be calling this over the course of the sea. Oh, and there's a Haas straight in the way. Oh, sorry, there's a Sauber straight in the way of Undercheck. He's not going to be happy. And who else but our very... was that one of our admins? No, that was Darren Stahl getting in the way of Undercheck there. And Undercheck is not going to be overly pleased. Could be expecting a procedural penalty potentially for that one. Can Darren Stahl. JV8 then is out on a lap. I don't think it's a necessarily quick one, and it's not going to be a quick one for him veering off track like that. Nasi then should have a good one on paper. Matty should be doing quite well around here as well. One track that suits him better on the calendar. Quite quick and technical. And obviously did win back here last season, and that wasn't by luck. I must mention that as well. By managing the race better than anyone else. And obviously now the Brazil race is actually coming back and is very well handled as well. And with a chip on his shoulder, Matty says the fastest time of the session so far is the 27.520. So if Matty wins this one, I'm never going to hear the end of it. So please make sure that he does not. Nasi then coming around the final couple of corners as Djokovic fails to beat his time by almost half a second. Djokovic sitting in P2 in the Alpine, and Nasi comes across to start his flying lap, sorry. BT Weaving to get his tyres warmed up, as here comes Squidge, a man who's claimed he's done no practice whatsoever throughout this week, is getting his lap invalidated, and here comes Tess to veer off his final run. As Noah, I've seen your message. I'll give you an invite as soon as stuff calms down a little bit on track. If anyone else would like to invite him, that's very much okay, but I'll just wait a little bit until this is all calmed down. So here comes Tess then, into the final couple of corners. Got a Sauber ahead of him. Is that Darren again? Yes, it is. Darren, though, is on a fast lap. He's not obliged to get out of the way. As here comes Tess, runs the final corner, goes half a second quicker than Matty, which is very, very impressive. As what's his teammate going to be able to do around this place? Once again, lovely, lovely helmet from the Jamaican British driver. So here comes Iwatts round the bridge and onto the second DRS straight of the lap. As into the third sector now, only 4 corners to go. 3 realistically if you count the second to last and the last corner as 1, which really realistically should be doing. So here comes Iwatts then. 2 corners to go as Noah's joined the session. Thank you very much whomever invited him. As here we go, Iwatts coming across the line. It's going to be P7, a very, very good lap from the other Red Bull. And now they really need to perform if they want to keep this Constructors' Championship battle alive. Undercheck's on an outlap. Squidge is out on a fast lap that he has promptly aborted. Just I went on board with him. It was a slow lap before then. So Squidge not having the best run in qualifying here. And that is Djokovic having an issue coming out of Sector 1. So Tess has been massively sandbagging in practice earlier on from what we can establish. What Matty has established in chat. If you go have a look at the Twitch chat, if you're watching this live on Twitch, I suggest you turn the chat on. It's usually a couple of fun interactions throughout the evening. So here comes BT currently in P8 then. Just on an in-lap that is actually. Mr. Wilco then had a decent result last week, and that's not a decent effort from Mr. Wilco at all, taking that corner way too quickly. And that is him promptly into a wall. Lap over front wing, you would imagine, gone. Just a front wing emplet. This is a sign that we need to increase the damage rate for next season, because if we can get away with mistakes like that, a bit too lenient. Here comes Wigan on the last DRS straight. Not DRS straight, I thought it was. Oh well, past the Ferrari and into the last couple of corners. Wigan, who's not really come to grips with the Alpine this season, hasn't really been enjoying and has actually been complaining about it as well. And it's not gone well for Djokovic in that Alpine either this season, must be said. Winless is Djokovic for, I believe, the first time in his NEF1 career over the course of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Can he snatch a win in these last 4 races? I do certainly hope so. Noah, the reason why is that a game has retired you from this session. I would imagine that's why it doesn't let you take control of your car. You are retired and will start P18 around the street circuit, which is obviously not ideal. At least the mandatory is two-stop away. You can make some moves. Undercheck outqualifies his teammate by almost a full second. Is very, very close to provisional P1. So it's Tess, Nazi, and Undercheck the top 3, followed by Matty and Squidge in 5th. Djokovic in 6th. Alpaca on a good upswing of form in 7th. Djokovic and Alpaca were massive coming together last week out in Australia, with Recon in 8th, Samo in 9th, and Iwatts in 10th. Kit fancied his chances earlier on around here. Watch for potentially a bit of an upwards or an upstep in form for his second run this session. We'll wait and see then. So then Hybrid in his Mercedes for a second race back to full-time driver in the Mercedes alongside Recon. Mercedes currently shared last in the Constructors' Championship with Sauber. So that'll be a race for the last 4 races, see who can score the most amount of points. Dead equal on, I believe, 21 points right now, with Haas sitting just above them on 28. So it's been a really, really tough season for both Mercedes and Sauber. As here comes Djokovic then on an outlap to start his second run with 8 minutes 10 to go. Bit of a middle time run that That is, you would imagine that wait to the last couple of minutes to go out at this time. Do you have time for 2 runs with 8 minutes to go? You're gonna be cutting it very, very close. It's not as long a lap around here as it was previously though. Lap times used to be at around a 141, 140. Now it's on about 127. So obviously a lot of a quicker lap time around here than it was before. Do we have is that a 5-second split over the course of 4.2 seconds worth of split between first and last in this session, which is big. It is one of those circuits that can breed slightly bigger pace gaps between drivers as well. So drive circuit is very, very technical. One of the most technical on the season calendar. As here comes Tess, gonna have another go to 7 minutes to go. Ondercheck and Squidge still holding station. As here comes Djokovic. Nasi's already begun his flying lap. He's about 2 corners ahead. So then, worth pointing out as well, it's a 38-point gap, if I'm not mistaken, in the championship at the moment, plus minus a couple of points. We'll have a look at that later if we can, as there goes Djokovic into the wall, just on the entry to Sector 2, and that is his lap done and dusted, but I don't think he suffered any front wing damage from that, did he? No, just got the car slowed down before that. Where I was heading with my previous point was that the championship cannot be won today under any circumstances. Squidge has closed in quite a lot on Tess' championship advantage over the last couple of races, and is now sitting a, let's say, safe distance behind. If Tess has another bad race here, he's in serious jeopardy heading into the last couple of rounds. So Tess needs to play this one strategically now. Should he get involved in battles, as long as he keeps outscoring Squidge, then maybe, just maybe, it's worth finishing P2 instead of risking having an incident with someone and finishing without points. Nasi comes across for the fastest lap of the session so far. It's 26.706. With 5.5 minutes to go, he should be able to get another run in. So my math was wildly offset earlier on. Just 2 minutes ago, I was questioning if that was going to be possible. Definitely will be possible, as here comes Tess rounding the final corner of Sector 2 and Sector 3, and he's improving by over half a second. So Tess definitely favourite of pole position at the moment. See if he can improve even further into Sector 3. Matty is improving about has improved half a second, sorry, up to a 27.016. His hybrids retired from this session. I believe that's as here comes Tess, rounds the final corner, it's a 26.457, and that is monumentally quick from Tess that. 1.5 seconds quicker than his championship rival at the moment. Squidge has only been out for 1 run, but that is insane pace from Tess there. The championship leader, and right now, favourite for the champion. Samos made his way up to P5. He's now racing his way around the track again to try to get back into the pit lane before too long. So Alpaca's now going through Sector 1, coming up to the Sector 1 split, and quite a lot of cars, just a couple of thousandths up on her. Alpaca not going to be improving at this lap though. She'll have to recharge her batteries and go one more time at the end of this session. I don't think she has time to come into the pit lane though. Might just be a little bit too short on that. As Mr. Wilco in 11th at the moment for Aston Martin, then just behind I was by 0.2 of a second, just ahead of BT by less than 1. Comes into the pit lane, I'll have time for one more run if he gets straight out there. Darren and Sauber has a bad exit coming out of the penultimate set of corners and goes into the pit lane. Maybe time for one more go at this. Very slow pit lane entry. And this is also one of the pit lane entries we definitely could be slapped with that 10-second time penalty for entering the pit lane too fast. So watch out for that for the Grand Prix. Alpaca into the pit lane, and that is too late potentially for Alpaca. I don't know, 250 to go. Need to get that car carried into the garage. I could just probably make that. As here goes Squidge around the penultimate set of corners, and for what is going to be his last effort at pole position here in Singapore at the Marina Bay Street Circuit. So we'll wait and see. Heading into turn 1 then. 4th gear all the way through down into 3rd for the left-hander. Get on the power nice and early. Up to 6th and maybe even 7th heading into the next one. Down to 4th at the apex. Straight up into 5th and power your way through. DRS and ERS deployed. Heading into the beginning of Sector 2, and it's an improvement by just less than a tenth of a second, so it's not a perfect first sector for Squidge. Needs to gain that massive amount of time here in that second sector, and this is the offset by not doing any practice. I'm sorry, Nathan, for taking a piss out of you earlier on in the chat. How much time you can gain by doing a couple of laps of practice beforehand and just finalizing your setup and everything, it's quite a lot. So again, let's look at a relatively alright Sector 2 so far. It's coming up to the Sector 2 split as well for Squidge 2017. It's improving by over half a second now, so this is going to be challenging, potentially Undercheck if he has a good sector. Potentially Matty as well, but he needs to ace these final couple of turns and maximizing the entry to the penultimate set of corners. Not very close to the wall on the exit though. Flat for these last 2 corners and across the line for P5. Doesn't quite match his teammate. Would have had to improve slightly more. So that's unfortunate for Squidge. P5 is the best he can manage through this session. Here comes Djokovic then around the Sector 2 split, and he's improving by quite a lot as well. So he might be up there. Battling away for the top 3 with Matty and Ondricek right now. Sam Obamo has been able to start a lap as well. So here comes Djokovic then, around the final 2 corners. What is he going to be able to do? Here we go, Djokovic for the final lap this session. Only P6, 27.348. Decent lap, not quite good enough. Sam Obamo through the Sector 1 split is improving by about a tenth of a second. Ondricek's coming up to the same sector split as well, and I believe so is Nasi. Ondricek doesn't improve by a massive amount. Nasi's just ahead of him. Matty is throwing his car through the second sector, and is that Tess not going to be completing another lap? Didn't quite make it round in time. So that is Tess without a time here. Allows Matty or Nasi to have a go at him, as well as Ondricek. Dance retired from this session in Sector 1. That is going to be a hindrance to the McLaren coming up. That'll be JV8, but he's already finished this lap, as well as the Haas who just came before him. Matty's improving. Is Nasi improving by the margins that he needs? I don't think so. Matty's improving. Could he challenge late here? Could Ondricek challenge late? We'll wait and see. Matty Adam comes across the line. P3 is all he can do. Just a couple of hundreds off Nasi. What is Ondricek going to be able to be capable of? With 2 corners to go here, flat through the 2 left-handers, and is it going to be enough? No. Just out qualifies Matty by 6 thousandths of a second. Djokovic is not going to be improving on that lap either, and that is qualifying over and done with. Tess takes pole position away from Nasi, Ondricek, Matty, and Squidge. Djokovic in 6th, followed by Samo, who wasn't able to improve too much on that second lap. In 7th, Recon in 8th, Alpaca in 9th, Kit qualifies 10th in the end. That get pushed down by a BT who goes up to 8th. Wigan ends up in 12th position. I was in 13th, Wilco in 14th, Darren 15th, Jay in 16th, followed by Hybrid, and Noah unable to set a time this session. We'll see him for the Grand Prix. As Matty makes his return to the top 5 of the grid in a qualifying session for the first time in quite a while. And look at that, if he'd just gone a few hundredths of a second quicker. Could have been P2 for the Aston Martin. But very, very close between P2, 3 and 4 in qualifying. But wasn't a question of who's going to nab pole position here. It is Tess for pole position and trying to re-establish a commanding lead in the Drivers' Championship. That is it for qualifying then. We are just going to have a little bit of a break before we get the Grand Prix underway. So it's going to be a couple of minutes. Just stay tuned for that. We'll be right back within, say, about 5 minutes for the start of the Grand Prix. Nobody ready up on the grid. No one go anywhere, because we'll be right back for full coverage of the Singapore Grand Prix in NEF1. Round 15 of the championship is coming right up. Alright everyone, we are back and the Singapore Grand Prix is about to get underway in just a little bit of time. The ready up has now been given and we are about to start the race in 30 seconds time. 31 laps around the Singapore Grand Prix, the last mandatory two-stopper of the season. We've done a couple of these in the past, earlier on in the season, quite a couple of weeks ago. But usually for the circuits, that doesn't really promote wheel-to-wheel racing in the same way that others do. And I think it's been generally a success so far. I know we did Japan, and I think Spain was the second one, potentially. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the reception to them has gone down pretty well. Expect a lot of soft tires to be ran for a race like this as well. People are just going slightly more aggressive when they know everyone is going to have to make 2 pit stops. And as we can see, it is softer boots on for a majority of the grid. Either mediums or softs for everyone. I don't think we're going to see hards unless someone has an early incident, goes on to the hards to then make a late pit stop, maybe for softs. At a track where I think tire wear could prove a factor still. This might actually be a natural 2-stopper, we don't know, but now it's been made into a mandatory one. So then, test starting on the medium tyres from Nasi on the softs. Ondrocek on the mediums, followed by Matti on the softs, Squidge on the mediums, Djokovic on softs, followed by Samo on softs. BT has been disqualified for the formation lap, we'll see what he starts on. Followed by Recon and Alpaca, both running soft tyres. Kit just outside of the top 10 in his Haas. I think that might be his best qualifying position of the season. He starts in 11th. Very nice neon helmet in that Haas as well. Is that neon and blue? I believe it is. Nice lid that from Kit. He's followed by Wigan on the soft tire. Usually goes a bit more aggressive on tire strategies as Wigan. As well as Iwat on mediums, Wilco on the mediums, Darren on the mediums, Jay on the mediums, so is Hybrid, so is Noah at the back in that Ferrari. So, a lot of softs towards the front, mediums towards the rear, and that kind of makes sense. Want to go a bit longer on that first stint if you're towards the back. For Nasi, his idea of this race is probably going to be get in front, build a gap, try to control it. DRS not overly powerful around here. Overtaking could prove difficult. So if you get ahead, very, very possible to stay ahead. High percentage chance of a safety car around this track as well. Always are. Quite a lot of incidents around Singapore. I can't think of any massive ones that we had in NEF1 so far though. But I'm sure we've had a couple of safety cars. Possible race strategies. Everyone's predicted 1-stop according to the game. Well, that's not going to be the case. Mandatory 2-stopper, anyone who doesn't complete 2 pit stops will be disqualified. Here we go then, test lined up on pole positions. Good parking from Nasi. Is not a good park from Tess, who's just going to cross the line. That mitigates his pole position ever so slightly, as Nasi is just going to be able to get that bit closer to him. Ondrocek in 3rd, Matti in 4th for his best qualifying position maybe this season. Here we go then. Tess in P1, Nasi on the inside, Tess on the outside, 5 red lights, and it's lights out and away we go, and Tess gets away all right, but Nasi gets a better start towards the inside. Tess squeeze him towards the inside, but it's not going to be enough. Nasi takes the start and takes the lead into the first corner with Ondrocek in P3. Matti battling away with Squidge for P4 and P5, but no one's had a massively terrible start. BT has down 9 positions straight away. Matti and Squidge now swapping positions, maybe heading into the first really hard braking zone on this track now. Be turn 6 if I'm not mistaken. Matti on the inside is going to squeeze Ondrocek, or Squidge that is, towards the outside. Nah, Squidge has the inside for the next corner, and these two side by side not helping each other out at all. That's building a gap up to Ondrocek, and there's contact between Matti and Squidge. Matti just having to back out of that, and that's going to allow Djokovic to just sweep past. Slight contact with Matti's front wing, no damage done, but Djokovic just closing door on Matti, and Matti not want to see that position that easily, but can't fight it. Nasi takes the lead of the Grand Prix away in the first corner then, and that is going to allow him to run a completely different race than what he could have done if not. Tess now is going to be itching to get past. Ondrocek, the only stationary driver inside that top 5. Didn't swap any positions on the start with anyone. Did a bit of battling into the first corner. Was able to hold on. Here we go then. Round the last corner for the first time out of 31 times this race. And Nasi takes the fastest lap, 1:33.081. That's going to be beaten quite soon, you would imagine. As DRS opens on the back of Tess's car for the first time this race, and now we're going to get an idea of how easy it's going to be to overtake around here. Don't think it's going to be too easy. Undercheck is well clear of Squidge 2017. Now is Djokovic at the back of him. Matty usually gains positions on the start, now down 2 positions after having a bit of a shuffle around with Squidge. They maybe got overly involved with trying to hang on to something that wasn't quite there. Matty losing a position to Djokovic as a result. Double points finish at the moment for Haas. We have a Mercedes having problems at the back. That is hybrid. Yellow flags. Noah up 2 positions on the start. Darren up 3. Wigan up 1. BT down 6 positions. So he had some sort of issue at the first corner. What I don't quite know. Matty now very much on the back of Djokovic trying to get that P5 back. Undercheck, fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and he's hanging with these leaders. Very, very good pace-wise is that Williams, who's now leading the constructors by a good 30 points or so after 2 very strong weekends. They've seen Red Bull with minimal points for both of them. Australia was a bit better than Portugal, obviously, but Tess finishing second behind Squidge on that occasion. Tess now repassing Nassi for the lead of the Grand Prix, overtaking possible. We'll wait and see how easy it is. Undercheck is now going to be itching to get past Nassi to try to keep with Tess, who is on that same tire. And Undercheck's race pace at the moment looks very, very good. Squidge for the championship battle. This could be devastating if it stays the way it is. It'll be a 12-point swing, 13-point swing in the championship. As Hybrid's left the session, we'll make sure to invite him in just a moment. As Iwat's had a problem somewhere, I would assume he's made his first pit stop this race. Lap 3 out of 31. So then, Tess in the lead by 0.8 of a second now, and that is increasing over Nassi 31 now, just within that 1 second needed to get the DRS open. Undercheck might be hoping that Tess is able to break away by that full second so he can have a proper go in Nassi without any case of defensive DRS. Squidge 2.5 seconds after his teammate. Can't seem to stick with him. Matty is kind of shaking Djokovic away a little bit after getting past him and is now going after Squidge. Nassi's ever so close to falling out of DRS range on Undercheck. So I'm going to give inviting Hybrid back one more go, see if we can find him in the list somewhere. I say I'm very, very sorry about this, just got to give it a proper go. As there we go, that invite has now been sent out. Undercheck in P3 then is now starting to attack Nassi 31. For second place is getting ever closer. Nassi's lost DRS on Tess now. It's those soft tyres already starting to go off after only 4 laps. It's a worrying sign for the future of that tyre in this Grand Prix if that's the case. But it's given Nassi some early insight. Undercheck is going to be able to tell if his mediums are better than the soft. It certainly looks so, by the way, that Undercheck is closing in onto the back of Nassi. Hybrid's now been able to rejoin this session, but he is almost lost behind Iwatts. JV8 shortly ahead of him. Then it's a bit of a gap between Noah and Darren, 6.5 seconds. So here we go then. Tess well outside DRS range now. Undercheck is going to be able to attack the Ferrari in front of him. He's going to try to get straight by as Noah goes into the pit lane, gets a 10-second time penalty and retires from this race. So then, Nassi's been overtaken by Onderschek, and that is a bad result for Ferrari right now as well. In their hunt for a good championship position, now Aston Martin are in the driver's seat if they can get Mr. Wilco up a couple of positions. Nassi fading on those soft tyres, already lost almost a second to Onderschek here, and Onderschek is starting to close up to Tess. So now let's see how quick that Williams truly is in a race run. Onderschek always been a decent qualifier, but it's in the races when he's been relentless. So Onderschek now within a second worth of Tess, and Onderschek doing a very good job at the moment of eating up that advantage to Tess, something we don't see too often. Onderschek, absolutely relentless driver, one-time NEF1 champion, and this is the reason why, because he is hunting down the championship leader in a humongous way right now. Hybrid, 10-second time penalty, speeding in the pit lane. That's not the last of those we're going to see throughout this session, I am sure, but that has suddenly ruined his race, and we're starting to see those pit stops take place. Matti, Djokovic, Alpaca and Iwatz have now been into the pit lane, as well as Hybrid. Medium tyres are going on for them. Onderschek now hunting down the Red Bull ahead of him. Nassi's properly fading on those soft tyres. Is not going well, and Matthew was on them, decided to get rid of them very early on. I don't think we're going to be seeing the soft tyres for anyone who doesn't necessarily have to go on them. Could the hards potentially be a better race tyre? So then Onderschek, half a second behind Tess, but just biding his time at the moment, but seemingly quite a bit quicker than the Red Bull in race trim. JV8 is ghosted at the moment, I don't know why. That is very, very concerning, been ghosting for quite a while now. So Mattis hunting down the ghost then of JV8, Djokovic in 10th, Samo in 11th and Alpaca in 12th. Now let's see how good an undercut is around this place, especially on a driver like Nassi, for example. On those soft tyres that are just fading, does he have to come in and get rid of those quite quickly? Does he now just have to wait it out and maybe try to do something different? We're on lap 7, so the softs do go a little bit into this Grand Prix, but it's not a good race tyre evidently. As here goes BT on Mr. Wilco, not close enough to make a move, but he was gaining significantly on that straight, heading into the 90-degree right-hander. And now, following the last two corners and onto the DRS straight, heading into turn 1. Not close enough to start thinking about anything yet, but he'll have that move done into the braking zone, following the next DRS zone, I'm quite sure. As here we go then, Mattis on the quickest lap of the session. That's ought to worry Nassi, maybe even Onderschek and Tess ahead of them. As here goes BT past Mr. Wilco. Nothing Wilco can do about that one. BT moves his way up into what is 6th place at the moment. Is going to turn into something entirely different in a couple of laps when everyone else has made their pit stops. Matty at the moment placing himself in a brilliant situation here. Didn't have the best of first stints, but it's a long pit lane around here. It's a very, very long pit stop around here, mind you. So Matty doing everything he needs to and more, and he's ceding up the advantage on his teammate rather rapidly as well. Undercheck still sitting behind the race leader Tess, who got past Nasi on I think it was lap 4. He overtook the Ferrari for the race lead. And Undercheck just started hunting that Red Bull down immediately after. Got to within the 1 second gap quite quickly, and is now just keeping the Red Bull very, very honest. Nasi comes into the pit lane then, and he needs to get out ahead of Matty Adam. Now I don't think he will though. We'll wait and see. Long pit lane around here. Medium tyres on the Ferrari. Here we go, Matty's still rounding the final penultimate set of corners. But as it's a long pit lane around here. Comes into the pit lane, comes out of the pit lane now, and speed limiter off. Needs to get the power down. Matty is ahead of Nasi, and that has ought to worry Undercheck and Tesla because it's quite clear of Nasi as well by about 2.1 seconds. Couple of more laps with this pace and Matty could be in the lead of the Grand Prix when the race leaders have made their pit stops. Undercheck might be having to get by that Red Bull soon and start getting moved on because he's being held up here. What is the strategy for Undercheck and Tess going to be? Are they going to go on to those soft 7 points this race, or did they just do a short stint on a hard tyres at the end and use this medium, which seems quite favourable? The soft's not proving to be a brilliant race tyre. As Undercheck, 3-second time penalty for track limit warnings, and that is the type of penalty that can absolutely lose your race win this season because it is so close. Now then, DRS open, and now we're going to see Undercheck start attacking Tess in a different type of way, round the outside, maybe into the left-hander, and he's gonna get that done. Oh my goodness, says Undercheck, and takes P1 away from Tess in brutal fashion round the outside into that corner is absolutely brilliant. Tess quite heavily defended inside, and I don't think he was expecting Undercheck to even try round the outside realistically there. They got that done. Brilliant, brilliant move from Undercheck, who's now going to start building a gap because Matt is coming up behind them on better rubber. As BT now has Kit ahead of him. It was a couple of seconds back a few laps ago now. BT is actually running really good pace here on lap 10. Matty, the gap that was almost 10, I think it was over 10 seconds with Mr. Wilco just a couple of laps ago, now 4.5 seconds. So Matty's eating into the advantage by a lot. As here goes BT, risky move on Kit to shut the door on him there. That was risky from BT. It's a yellow flag. It's a slow moving vehicle in sector 3. There's debris all over the track. Could that trigger a potential virtual safety car No, that was risky for ABT. Tried something. Kit wasn't really on it, and that was a massive incident that could very well have taken BT straight out of this race. Now, hard tyres, you would imagine, on for ABT. Tessa's has re-overtaken, Undercheck into, I would imagine, the braking zone after the DRS zone. I would imagine hard tyres on them for ABT. New front wing, try to make it to the end of the race. Medium tyres going on. Is that his second pit stop? Reckon he can last the end of the race on those tyres, perhaps then. And let me tell you what, I bet Matt is quite happy that that was not a safety car of any kind, because that would have set him back a lot. I think Kit's quite upset though that it wasn't a safety car. Get rid of one of his pit stops and be able to run this race to flag, because I believe most everyone have made Vess. As Tess has now left this session for whatever reason, we'll be working on getting him back ASAP. And these are the kind of things that should not happen when battling for the lead, and I can't... There we go, I can't find him in his list. Tess been handed an invite, but this is Ondercheck's chance now to break away from Tess and try to establish a lead. As unfair as it may seem, it is the nature, unfortunately, of online racing. Anyone can have issues like this, and most people do at one point throughout the season. It is just a massive shame that you have them in a situation like this. So Ondercheck now capitalizing, has already gone past and created 1.6 second advantage. Tess has been given an invite. Please let me know in chat if you can't get into the lobby and I have to send you another one. And this is going to be music in Squidge's ears as well. So Nasi now, having made one stop, haven't gotten past Matty again, worth pointing out. Both of them have cleared Mr. Wilco. Djokovic a little bit behind the pair. On with Sam Obama, who's running a race of his own at the moment, just solidly in P9 at the moment. We're still waiting for the top four to make their appearance. Tess is losing a lot of time right now on Ondercheck and Squidge. Tess, what is going on? Are you able to make it back into the lobby? I haven't gotten any reply from him yet. I'll be sending him one more invite and letting that go for the time being. Hold on. As there we go. Tess been sent another invite, but this could be something that's huge for the championship. If he can't get back in, it could be a massive blow to his championship hopes. Squidge right now is closing in on Tess, who's already 5.5 seconds down on Ondercheck. Here we go then, Matty hunting down Nasi still. And all of them are hunting down Tess right now. He's just doing lap after lap after lap. And this is going to be compromising his strategy when he comes in, because the game is going to divert him to a natural one-stop race. If he comes into the pit lane in 2 lap time, which I would imagine the AI would, he's going to be slapped on hard tires and will still have to complete those mandatory 2-stop laps. He's been sent invites. Tess, do you need more invites? Thankfully stays out for another lap, but this is difficult for Tess now. Squidge is just hunting down that AI-driven Red Bull at the moment. Nasi now, fastest lap of this Grand Prix, 9.8 seconds behind Squidge. What is Squidge doing for a strategy as well? Both Ondercheck and Squidge out 14 laps into this Grand Prix. Are they going medium, soft potentially for this strategy? JV8 has to budge on iWatts, still in AI mode, which means his race result probably isn't going to count, even if he would get a result. Not made his pit stop yet, which means it could be disqualified if it doesn't make more than 1. Yellow flags in Sector 2. That is Hybrid who's had an issue. Front wing. The left-hand side of that front wing is gone. And is this one of the nights where Tess is not going to be able to get back in, and it's going to be a massive swing in the championship? We've seen Ondercheck give away a race lead to aid his teammate before. Ondercheck not fighting for a championship. Squidge is. And Squidge is now past Tess on track and is due to take even more points away from that championship challenge on a night where Squidge wasn't actually expected to race. If he can now pull off a worldie on the strategy, we could be in for an even bigger point swing here and potentially see it down to just a couple of points at the end of this race. Undertech goes into the pit lane. He is going to come out quite a bit behind Nasi, Matti, even Djokovic. Did Donderchek leave this too late? He has an incredible amount of pace. So he's done half the race distance on medium tyres, and on goes another set of medium tyres for Undertech. Crucial for him to stay ahead of Djokovic, and he just manages to do so on the exit. But that tells us that when Squidge comes in, he's going to be coming in at around P7 behind Sam Obama ahead of Recon. Is where Squidge is going to be coming in. I'm going to be giving Tess one more invite now. So I can't find him in the list as well. Test if you still are listening, if you wouldn't mind just giving me an update either in Discord or chat what is going on. But that has properly ruined the championship leaders race this. Nasty now in P3, Undertech hunting down the two. Does he want to do a majority of this race on medium tyres and just finish it with a very, very short stint on the softs potentially? Thinking that he is fast enough to do a majority of this race on medium tyres and still come away with the W. Squidge having done 16 laps on one set of mediums now, still no pit stop. Past half race distance now with the Williams. In a mandatory two-stop race, not having made any pit stops yet, is a bit alarming. The only other drivers to have done so are both driving in AI mode at the moment. Surely Squidge is going to be able to, has got to come in quite soon. Or is he just waiting for a safety car? That's a dangerous game if he is. Especially now when he has an opportunity to take more championship points away of Tess's lead. So Tess is now almost a pit stop behind. Matti, Adam and Undercheck is not far behind either. And this is unfortunately a result of us having to set the AI level quite low so you couldn't ever capitalize on it. We've set it to a level where if you've gone for a lap, it's not going to completely ruin your race. But if you've gone for a period of 5 laps, then yeah, your lap is, or your race is most likely going to look drastically different when you get back in. Yellow flagged, we have the first safety car of this race. We have, what was that? That was Hybrid off in Sector 2, and that is going to send the Squidge straight into the pit lane. What it's also going to do is send Nasi straight into the pit lane for his second stop, Tess into the pit lane, Matti into the pit lane. Squidge has not benefited of this at all. Matti, 10-second time penalty behind the safety car for speeding in the pit lane is not a good thing at all. Squidge has actually lost out a massive amount thanks to this strategy, getting his first pit stop of the race done under safety car, but now Nasi behind him is done for the race. Undercheck is also very much lost out here, as Matti claiming it went green again. He had this issue 2 weeks ago in Portugal, I believe, so take again that 10-second time penalty then with a pinch of salt. Tess, I will send you an invite immediately, buddy. As soon as I can get you up on my list, because you're not there right now. I'm just gonna wait one lap, or just a bit of time, and then I will give you an invite. Are you on the game right now? Just waiting for you to appear on my list. So Squidge now, on a set of soft tires, has to break away from Nasi quite quickly, doesn't he? So No Locks has apparently invited Tess. Thank you very much, Noah, for that. Tess, can you just confirm if you've gotten that invite as well? As Hybrid's now retired from this race after an incident on the safety car. That just smells a bit fishy. And has left this session. And how you've had an incident on the safety car there, I have no clue. Is Tess back into the lobby? No. And still can't find you in my list, Tess, unfortunately. Squidgedan has the lead, but one full pit stop behind. He should have made his pit stop a bit earlier on. He might have been legitimately leading this Grand Prix at this stage. Nasi in P2, followed by Tess in third, Matty in fourth, Ondercheck in fifth, Djokovic in sixth. Kit has had an alright race so far, but he's, again, one pit stop behind. So is he beating Mr. Wilco. And there we go, Tess is back into this session, thankfully. What tire is he on? A medium tire. So it's on an alright strategy, but still having to make one more pit stop. It's going to be difficult for him to score points, but Squidge is on basically the same strategy, so it might not have a massive effect on the championship. We'll wait and see. Nasi right now is the front runner for the win of this Grand Prix. Hard tires gone on for most people, having done their second pit stop now under the safety car period. What I'm curious about, if you still have a pit stop to go, say for example a Kit, where you don't take that now, take being back in the last, but try to fight your way through the field. Because doing so now is going to give you the chance to catch up. Doing so in 5 laps will not, and is not a guarantee that we're going to have another safety car here. As here we go then, Squidge now in control of the safety car restart. Well decided to go, there we go, and leaves Nasi behind. Squidge on soft tyres versus Nasi on hards. Tess on mediums, and he is straight after Nasi with a point to prove. So here we go then for the last stint of this race. Lap 19 out of 31, a little over 10 laps to go. Squidge is trying everything he can to get clear of Nasi, try to build some sort of gap to control this race by, but it's going to be difficult for him. BT has had a bad restart and he's down a lot of positions now. Maybe got to let his teammate go as well now. Stays ahead. Darren throws it down the inside clumsily of Recon, and that was never going to work for Darren. Thankfully, the person that lost out most was him. But that was a bit of a clumsy move from Darren Stalver, sending it down the inside of BT and Recon. Squidge now just over a second clear by a couple of hundredths of a second, now a tenth of a second ahead of Nasi, with Tess hunting down the Ferrari in third. But Tess and Squidge then gotta make their second pit stops of this race. Such is the rules, regardless of situation. Might Squidge just be hoping for a second safety car here that's going to force everyone else into the pit lane as well? Could that be Squidge's plan? Sacrifice any point score this race to maybe, just maybe, come away with the win. And could Tess then be following that same strategy? Qatar is coming up, and we had a taste of what Tess is like at Qatar. Question is, how much does he dare to gamble with a championship lead that has taken a significant beating over the last couple of weeks? As there goes Tess on Nasi then. Not really a discussion. Squidge, nah, gets a 3-second time penalty for track limit warning. Somehow found himself in the lead of the Grand Prix, but still having to make another pit stop. Djokovic is round the back of Ondřejek, who had a commanding lead at this Grand Prix, but it's all come away from him thanks to a bit of a weird strategy choice by doing a double medium on the start. Should probably have gotten rid of the pressure to use different tyres in the first pit stop. But if I'm not mistaken, this is Ondřejek's first mandatory two-stop race back in NEF1 as well. That could very much be an experience ring from having done these races in the past. Here we go then. The championship protagonists, Squidge and Tess, are going to be free to battle it out on track as well. For what is now going to be no points whatsoever. We'll see how it plays out come the end of the race. Tess then with a massive pace advantage on those medium tyres versus a driver who, well, who didn't do any practice around this circuit over the last week. And somehow managed to find himself at the front of it, battling away. We'll see if that comes into play later on. Tess is now just sniffing on the back of Squidge and mighty forces his way through round the outside. Squidge is not going to give him anything more than he has to. Almost runs Tess off the road into the wall. Not quite. Leaves him just enough room as the two make contact, and Tess and Squidge make contact for the first time this season. Tess is in the wall. Squidge and Tess make contact. Nasi takes the lead of the Grand Prix, but it was bound to happen at some point this season. Tess is going to be fuming with that, but that is the nature of racing. In a championship battle, at one point you're going to have the two antagonists make contact, and it happened in Singapore. Nasi now with a brilliant opportunity to win this race, his first win in a long time. We would see out his season quite well, I believe, as well. Djokovic in third now could be on for a win as well if those mediums fire up. Squidge, is this the time where he just has to slap on a new set of tyres and try to take a couple of points, or is he still just waiting for that safety car? He's still waiting. Tess then needing to come into the pit lane again with front wing damage. I reckon Squidge probably should have come in for a new set of mediums now to try to maximize this race and try to make up a couple of positions on track. Tess is getting his second pit stop out of the way now regardless. So Squidge surely is just waiting for that second pit stop to try to maximize on this. Here we go then, Djokovic on Squidge, not quite ready to send a dive down the inside. Does Squidge have a full front wing after that contact? It's quite heavy. I think he just might. It looks like there's two M plates on the front of that Williams, doesn't it? It's bad camera angles around here, unfortunately. It's a full front wing on the Williams, but Nasi still eating a lot of pace out of that Ferrari right now. 3-second gap between Nasi and Squidge. Now just a couple of laps after, and Djokovic and Squidge have made contact, and that has allowed Samo into the conversation now as well. And in the conversation for a podium now is Samo Bamo out of nowhere. And Matty, please don't you ruin this again. I think we've had Matty ruin one Samo podium so far this season, if I'm not mistaken. There goes Djokovic on Squidge, shunned the door on the exit, and that is P2 for the reigning champion. And Tess now on the hard tyres. What is Squidge going to be doing now? Into the pit lane, trying to salvage just a couple of points maybe, but he's going to be coming out almost plumb last with a penalty as well. Soft tyres with 8 laps to go. Points not impossible, but depends on what sort of pace he can run off. But Mr. Wilco in 7th is not an unrealistic target from here. But he needs to get by these cars relatively quickly. So let's see then. That incident, I'm sure, will be under investigation as well between Squidge and Tessity under this race, but I'm not going to comment on it any further, only having gotten a live glance of it. Here we go, Samo Bamo's doing very, very well on that set of medium tires. The medium being the clear best race tire by the look of things. The hards are slightly overpowered on this game, though. We didn't expect to see them, but they come to rear their ugly head here in Singapore this evening as well. So is Matty going to be able to get past Samo for potentially that podium? He's going to be itching to do so, especially now that points are available on the other teams around him. Ondrzejczyk in 5th should have been winning this race, but that is not going to happen the way things are looking right now, and he's struggling to keep up with Matty on these odds. But Ondrzejczyk, the way he was locked in for the middle stint there, he should have won this race. Just a bit of strategy blunder has massively cost the other Williams. Where is Squidge at the moment? He is 14th place, 5.2 seconds behind Kit, who's now coming into the pit lane. So Squidge has a lot of clear air ahead of him then. 3 places up into the points. And I believe everyone have gone the 2 stops out of the way, apart from Mr. Wilco, which is going to be a benefit to Squidge. Jay is going to be disqualified out of this race for being in AI mode for the entirety of it. So that can be slight of a disconnect. Then we got time penalties to be added on. Squidge is going to be really regretting that 1 track limit warning potentially come the end of this one. We'll wait and see. It's a lot of ground that he needs to make up now in 7 laps time. And we're taking that 10-second time penalty from Matty Adam with a grain of salt right now, claiming it went green just he entered the pit lane. That type of penalty can be reviewed as long as it's not been served in the pit lane. Iwatts battling away with Recon. Recon all over the back of that Red Bull. Iwatts just taking that 7th place. And he's having a very good race, is Iwatts as well. Solid all round, no incident so far, which is what he needs to do. Samo hunting down Djokovic still, and he's not losing touch of the Alpine. Samo here is hanging with the reigning NEF1 champion. Is he going to have a cheeky move down inside? Nah, not quite ready yet, but he's sizing up for it. Samo now needs to keep him mistake free, and a podium very well could be his. Ondrzejczyk slowly creeping up to the back of the scene on Matty as well. The gap was 3.1, now it's 2.3, and he could be there by the last lap. Recon sends it down inside of Iwatts. That's not going to work. Iwatts shows in the door and shuts it. And Wiggins there as well with no penalties, mind you. This could go a long way for Wiggins if he keeps penalty free. We'll wait and see. And a BT says the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, which is going to give him an extra championship point. Squidge now not gaining a massive amount of time on anyone on those soft tires, but look, 6.8 seconds gap up to Mr. Wilco. So this could be a pointless race for Squidge regardless. 5 laps to go here. Nassi having gone across the line. Djokovic under pressure from Samo Bamo for P2 here, and this has turned in to a really exciting race at the front. Djokovic not been on the podium too much this season, neither has Samo. Matt has been on it quite a few times, but he's not really been in a situation like this before this season. Ondrzejczyk is hunting them down. Paka sitting in P6 at the moment, net P5 with Matty's penalty. And there is Wigan as well, penalty 3, which goes a long way in NEF1 these days. He's going to make damn sure he remains it. Iwas and Recon slowing each other down plenty right now. There we go, and Samo on Djokovic now has just lost slight touch off that Alpine. Can't lose anymore, and Matty's been overtaken by Ondrejek. And how on earth did that happen? I have no clue. Did Matty lock a wheel heading into the corner? Last time I looked at this was about a lap ago, and Ondrejek was 1.6 seconds behind Matty Adam. So here comes Ondrejek then, who's going to be taking no prisoners whatsoever. He's going to want to get straight past Samo Bamo and after Djokovic. But is he going to be able to? Samo Bamo v Djokovic. They've now been left alone. Ondrejek 1.1 behind Matty, 5 tenths behind Ondrejek now. Recon is still looking at Iwas by the look of things. 3 tenths, separate them. So I'm sure Recon's going to have another go with that 6-second time penalty, though. Needs to get by on this attempt in order to try to break clear. If not, it might be for nothing. Wait and see. Here goes Recon on Iwas. Gets nowhere near. As Ondrejek is riding back off Samo Bamo here. With that 3-second time penalty, mind you, and he'll be aware that he needs to get past Samo and Djokovic quickly in order to get by. Nasi has an iron grip of this Grand Prix. 7.8 seconds ahead. That safety car did wonders for him, as Ondrejek has now been able to get past Samo. Bamo's fighting this one, but he's got to let it go now. It is crucial for Samo to stay in this position right behind Ondrejek and not let him disappear. 3 seconds down the road. Djokovic, though, is going to be concerned with the pace of that Williams that saw him take the lead away from Tess early on and go away with it. The man who should be winning this race now on a charge to finish at least on the podium of it and do wonders for his campaign. Tess right now is not going to be scoring any points. Squidge getting nearer to the points, just behind Darren Stahl to take at least one away. He is getting nearer Squidge. A couple of laps more and it could be setting himself up for a decent finish. Right now might though be a little bit too late. So we're going Ondrejek v Djokovic for the last 2.5 laps or so, and Ondrejek makes it very well known to Djokovic that I'm here and I want your position. Samo doing everything he can to keep Matty behind him now. And Matty who's not making moves right now. He's just quite satisfied, it looks like, to be sitting in P5. You see, potentially just charging up for that final attack on Samo Bamo that, if Matt is correct, would see him onto the podium. So here we go, an Alpaca gets a 3-second time penalty. Williams just hanging back right now on Recon and Iwas. It's all he has to do to claim that P7. 2 laps to go. Ondrejek now is making a move on Djokovic, and this is going to put some pressure on Samo Bamo as well. Djokovic as well to just keep behind him. Ondrejek now with the opportunity to go away, and there's a yellow flag for some reason. Is that Squidge who's going to pass Darren Style a bit aggressively, perhaps? He's gone past, and Squidge now up into the points. Only scoring 1 at the moment. Is Tess going to counter? Yeah, he's coming into the pit lane. You would imagine that's for a set of soft tires to counter the damage that Squidge is currently doing to his championship campaign. So Tess likely to pick up the fastest lap point here in the Singapore Grand Prix. Nassi is clear of any sort of challenge now and just needs to ride this race home. Even I would probably be able to ride this race home with the advantage he has at the moment. Sondercheck is disappearing down the road from Djokovic and Samo right now. 2 laps to go. It's already 1.5 seconds down the road from Djokovic. Now I'm questioning right now whether Samo's not actually being held up by the Alpine of Djokovic here. He's going to try to do everything to get by here because I think Djokovic is not going as quickly as Samo has the potential to. Here we go then, Samo v Djokovic for what would be a podium on paper regardless. Samo and Djokovic down inside on the Alpine, on the reigning NEF1 champion. Goes wide, Djokovic tries to fight that round the outside. Samo hangs down the inside, squeezes Djokovic up against the wall, but Samo just gets that move done. Djokovic falls back to 4th. Matti in 5th now is going to have a go at Djokovic as well. Ondercheck disappearing down the road now with 1 lap to go. 2.7 seconds gap between them. That is likely to increase to over those 3 seconds that Ondercheck need for his P2. That little battle did Ondercheck wonders, cost them about 1.4 seconds in total, Samo and Djokovic, and it's not over yet. Meanwhile, Wigan is losing ground on Recon and Iwas. That little battle has completely disappeared. Wigan now actually under pressure from Squidge here. We're on the final lap of the Grand Prix. As Djokovic apparently has front wing damage and is missing an M plate. And yeah, you can see they're on the left now. Yeah, left-hand side of his front wing, right-hand side of his front wing. Left-hand side for us viewers. That M plate is gone. Matti taking that position away. And if that penalty is getting removed, that's Djokovic down to P5. Samo now is clear and is most likely going to take a podium here in Singapore. Just needs to ride this lap home. Matti in 4th. I don't think he's going to be able to challenge DRB. Ondercheck has done everything he can to recover after a bit of a strategy blunder and has done well to do so. He's going to come home on a podium. Nassi, after not really being anywhere in contention on the first stint, everything came to play for him with the safety car. He executed his strategy flawlessly onto the hard tyres, got ahead and got away, and it'll be a brilliant sending off if that is the case for Nassi, and I'm sure it's the way he would have liked his season to end. If that is the case, that his season's come to an end here, he does it in style. One of the best drivers that any F1 has ever had rounds the final corner. Nassi takes the win of the Singapore Grand Prix in his Scarlet Ferrari. Ondercheck does everything he can to come home P2. Samo takes his 2nd podium of the season in 3rd, with Matti finishes in 4th place ahead of Djokovic. Alpaca goes down a couple of positions on penalties. Iwas comes home to finish in 7th place, not 2nd, with Recon in 8th. Squidge gets ahead of Wigan at the end. It's not going to matter on penalties and lets that go. Wigan in 8th, Recon in 9th, Squidge in 10th place, so 1 point. That's equaled by Tess with the fastest lap there. Darren just outside the point in 11th, followed by Wilco in 12th. Jay is going to be disqualified at the end of the race, not been competing in it. Kit then takes a P13, followed by Tess in 14th with the fastest lap. A BT is P15. But what a race from Nassi. Flawlessly executed strategy. Wins it by 10.6 seconds in the end. It's a brilliant result. Samo Bamo as well with a surprise podium. Really out of nowhere. What was his starting position? Up 4 places. It's not a massive game from Samo, but it's a very good race as well. Tess heartbroken after that race, I'm sure. did everything he could to mitigate the championship damage, and he did so as well, not losing any ground to Squidge in the championship, but obviously upset after those what was just pure connection or game issues. Driver of the day surely needs to go to Samo Bamo. Brilliant drive, brilliant racing, brilliant podium finish. Benassi, what a driver. Managed to race from as soon as he got ahead. Just managed it brilliantly. Undercheck did what he could, but he fumbled up the strategy. As there we go, we can see Nassi with those 25 points in the championship. Undercheck in P2. Samo in P3, followed by Djokovic in 4th. Alpaca in 5th with good result. Matt in 6th, followed by Iwatts in 7th. Win in 8th, Recon in 9th, and Squidge in 10th. Just looking at strategies there, everyone got their 2 pit stops in, apart from JV8 at the back. And obviously Noah, who retired a little bit into the Grand Prix. But then, it's been a controversial round of the NEF1 Championship. I'm sure the aftermath of this one is going to be discussed in the couple of weeks to come. We have 3 races to go in this championship with about a 40 point advantage for Tess in the championship. It is difficult for Squidge, but it is not impossible. We will be back in 1 week's time for what could be, if my maths are not correct. So no, they're not. I don't think the championship can be clenched next week. Correct me if I'm wrong. I have no real clue what the championship situation is like right now. It'll be uploaded to Instagram in a couple of days, the current standings. So make sure to follow us on there at New Array Sports to have a look at them. But that is going to be it for this round of the NEF1 Championship. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have enjoyed a bit of a scrappy race around the streets of Marina Bay in Singapore. Until next time then, the 3 last weeks of this game of championship action is coming right up. Don't miss out. We'll be back in 7 days' time for round 16 of the championship. Until then, stay safe, have a good one. Thank you so much for watching again, and peace out.